Hey guys, it's Nick, your Lake Sinclair guy. So today let's talk about STRs or short-term rentals here at the lake. One of the reasons a lot of people buy property at the lake is with the idea for renting it out part of the year. Sometimes that's to make money as an investment or to just help cover the mortgage on a place that you want to enjoy for yourself. And honestly, that can be a great strategy, but before you jump into buying a lake property with that in mind, there's a few things you need to consider. Because around Lake Sinclair, the rules about short-term rentals can vary quite a bit depending on where the lake property is located. And that's because Lake Sinclair touches 3 different counties: Baldwin, Putnam, and Hancock. And each of these counties approach short-term rentals a little bit differently. So if STR income is part of your plan, location on the lake is going to be very important. First up is Hancock County. Generally speaking, Hancock County tends to be the most friendly when it comes to short-term rentals. There are fewer restrictions compared to other counties, and it's often the easiest place around Lake Sinclair to operate a property as a vacation rental. Because of that, a lot of buyers who specifically want a lake house that they can rent tend to start their search on the Hancock side of the lake. It simply gives you more flexibility if you want to rent the property during the summer months or certain weekends throughout the year. Second is Putnam County, the most restricted. On the other side of things, Putnam County tends to be the most restrictive when it comes to short-term rentals. Putnam currently limits the number of STR permits in the county to about 350 total permits across the county. And that might sound like a lot, but I can promise you across the county, that number fills up quickly. There are also zoning limitations. For example, short-term rentals aren't allowed in R1 residential zoning, which removes a lot of properties from being eligible. On top of that, many of the large gated communities, especially if you head up to Lake Oconee, have their own HOA rules that are even more restrictive. Some of those neighborhoods don't allow short-term rentals at all, regardless of what the county might permit. So if renting is an important part of your plan, Putnam County is usually the place where you have to be the most careful about verifying the rules before you're buying. Then you have Baldwin County, which includes much of the Milledgeville side of the lake. Currently, Baldwin County allows short-term rentals in certain situations, but the county has been looking into additional restrictions and possible changes to the rules. So it's a little bit of a moving target at the moment. That doesn't mean STRs aren't possible there, but it does mean you want to understand the current regulations before purchasing a property with rental plans in mind. The big takeaway. So if your plan to buy a lake house and rent it out part of the year, the key thing to remember is that not every part of the lake works the same way. As an overview, Hancock tends to be the most STR friendly, Putnam is usually the most restrictive, and Baldwin County currently sits somewhere in the middle, but is still evaluating its future rules. So if you're thinking about buying a place at Sinclair and renting it out as part of the plan, it's definitely something you want to understand before making that purchase. Different parts of the lake have very different rules, and choosing the right area can make a big difference in your long-term plan. I'm Nick Montgomery, and if you ever want help figuring out which parts of Lake Sinclair would make the most sense for your short-term rental plans, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help people navigate the lake and find the right property for what they're trying to do.